Man, what time it is? What time is it? We here, DAWA HQ. Thank y'all for tuning in. Of course, you know this is a spot for BIPOC culture and community. We are blessed to have two individuals here. One of them has relocated to Austin and is a part of Venice Music, and the other one is traveling right now. He's on tour with Coda the Friend. We're gonna just start off with a little intro, man. Why don't y'all tell us a little bit about yourself? What brought you to Austin? I know a tour, but give us a little background.
Sure, yeah, I guess I'll go first. I'm UraelB. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm a hip hop, R&B, funk artist, and I'm independent. My company, Respect the Real, has been my company since I started music in 2017. I've been traveling. I'm on the road right now with Coda the Friend, going on tour with him. His No Rap on Sundays tour, and we bringing the real. We healing and we bringing music to the world. So I'm just thankful to be in Austin for my second time, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Glad you're here, bro.
Awesome. And then my name is Donovan. I'm the community manager and also work on partnerships at Venice Music. I've been in the music industry for going over 10 years now. Started off in management, DJing, and then that led me to finding really dope artists when I started working at EDM.com and got to develop artists in Europe for a bit, then moved out to LA, began working in music and tech, worked on a project called Rise, which was an app that was pretty much like LinkedIn meets TikTok. And you got to do call outs and you got to connect with producers, songwriters. We ended up building a label in the pandemic. And then we ended up getting a partnership with Roland Lifestyle. We ended up working with them, building that brand. So all the Roland fashion that you were seeing over the last couple of years, that was something that I was working on early on. And then I began working at Venice Music in 2021 and have been just really building the community globally, especially in LA, New York. My main job is really to help build and bridge the music industry to artists, independent artists, and help them build scalable careers and help with the scalable development for artists as the music industry has changed. So that's kind of been my journey so far. And yeah, just happy to be here. Thank you for hosting us today.
Absolutely, man. What's the connection between y'all?
So Urel is actually an artist. We've known each other for some time now, probably about 2 years. Yeah. And he was in our community. He just joined our community and was kind of getting a feel for Venice. And we would just talk very often. And then he's now releasing and a part of Venice family now as an artist.
Yeah. So Venice has been great. It's one of those boutique companies that really cares about the artist, and that was why I found them and I was, invited to join because there were so many different things distribution wise and like, working your way up the ladders and artists that you run into that just kind of tire you out. But Venice was for sure a breath of fresh air for me, and having somebody like Donovan to not only connect with in person, but who you could connect with over and over again and was showing up for you was really refreshing. So the relationship with Venice has been good right now, and I'm just thankful I have a team of people who really care to help artists get to where they're going,
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Venice, kind of the initiation, the origin of it, and then what you think it's doing for musicians and music right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Venice is founded by our two co-founders, Troy Carter. Many of y'all may know he managed Lady Gaga, John Legend at Atom Factory, head of global creator services at Spotify. So he really helped build the whole music side out of Spotify. And while he was there, he realized that a lot of independent artists weren't getting the seat at the table that they needed. And he was like, how do we build a platform that actually serves independent artists and gives them that, care and development that they need. So he partnered up with Susie. They ended up building a company, and it was very behind the scenes at first, very just getting the technology right, building a distribution platform. And then in 2021, beginning of 2021, we actually started doing distribution for all different artists. So we ended up opening it up. It was very invite only in the beginning. And we had, a lot of artists coming in, and we were doing label services and different things. And then when I came into the company at the end of December 2021, they were like, how do we scale this and expand and actually open it up to more artists, independent artists? So I was tasked with building a community, first starting in Los Angeles, and then we did a lot of different things in New York. Denver is another place that we've really built really strong roots. We ended up building a membership, which is our pro membership, that is really a flagship that comes with a host of suites of tools for artists. So tools, resources. Some of those tools include, we have workshops that we do, digital workshops. We do them once a week. I'm curating different guests from the music industry. We've had all different types of people from, Ty Baisden to Mauricio Ruiz come in. We've also had sessions where we bring in producers and songwriters, A&Rs, sync agents, where they come in, they listen to music virtually, they get feedback. Urael's come to many of those sessions, and he always has great music. Like whenever he plays stuff, people are like, "Yo, this is fire." But it's really, our goal is to bridge the music industry no matter where you are. So if you're an artist and you're building and you're in the basement making music with your friends in Minneapolis or something, you can actually access the music industry through that. So a lot of the resources that we also have, we also built a new tool called the Rollout Strategy that allows artists to build full phase plans from their brand, who they are, their bio, all the way down to their release timeline. We also do one-to-one calls. So we have different team members that can help with comm strategy when it comes to like, what is your plan? Our founder, Troy, also does tons of different like calls with members where he talks to new members. And
so he in there, like he not just
Oh, he's in it. Yeah, he's in the trenches.
He's not in the Cancun chilling.
He working. He working. He's at every aspect of the company. He wants to be touching that. But he also really cares about our community, and he really spends the time learning from them. So those are just some of the resources. Another thing we do is we do IRL events. So we just did an event with Mixed by Ali, where we had a whole full day. We did panels. He did a whole mixing section where he found an artist in our community from a feedback session we did, and ended up mixing his record. It was a guy named Jigla Frost.
Crazy.
And he mixed his record live. We have the whole video footage. And then we had Marathon Burger sponsor it. So that's a lot of the different things that we offer at Venice. And our goal is really just to be able to, as millions of artists come into the space, we want to be a company that still has that human element, because a lot of companies have lost the ability to touch people in this.
A lot of companies didn't start with a human element. Let's just be real.
Yeah, they did. It was all
they just trying to make money, it's dope to touch base with a company that starts there. Right. And how have you found Austin in terms of the community? You've been here 6 months. What's your impression with Austin so far?
I love it here. What I love about Austin is that there does seem to be like more of that small town, big town feeling. I feel like a lot of the musicians are very talented, and I feel that there's a growing like energy here when it comes to the creativity, and that's what brought me and my wife out here. She's also a singer, and we were like, how do we go somewhere where she can actually sing live and do her thing? Because in LA, there are opportunities to sing, but a lot of it is pay to play, and I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's a lot of pay to play opportunities, and you don't necessarily have the type of traction where you're usually playing to your friends or you're playing to the industry. And I'm sure you can kind of speak to that.
Nah, definitely. Especially coming to Austin, for me, this was one of the first places I performed in outside of my hometown that it was unconditional.
Talking about South by Southwest? What are we talking
about? Nah, it wasn't even. It was just a random open mic. Like I just came out here because I was visiting Houston, and my friend was like, "Oh, it's this open mic in Austin. Like we should drive over there." So that's what we did. And like I said, it was the first place that showed me unconditional love when it came to me showing up as myself and as the artist I am. And I just appreciated, like you said, the fact that there are people here who care, and there's a small town rallying going on, but also like so much of a vast community of artists and diversity of artists that do all different things, but they get a space here. They still get the feeling that I'm loved no matter what I do, or I can be loved if I'm, not as the same as the other artists around me. So
yeah. Well, let's piggyback on that. What do you love, man?
I love being around good people. That's really what it is. That's why I came here. That's why I even wanted to go on tour, and the opportunity presented itself made sense for me, because online is great because you get that efficiency of reaching a lot of people at once, but actually touching people and leaving an impact or getting an impact with them, that's something you can't really do as much online. You have to go out on the road and really meet people. You have to get in front of people, and that's the best part of music to me. I've always told people that I want to give people the feeling I got listening to other artists, like Kendrick Lamar, for example. His To Pimp a Butterfly was the album that made me say, I have to do something with my life. I have to change the world. Whatever I do, I gotta impact people like this impacted me. So I want to give that feeling, and if I can, it'll be through music, it'll be through other ventures. But I also just want to give a voice to people who come from where I come from and grow up how I grew up, to build and feel like there's not hopelessness around them. So as long as I'm connecting with people and providing that inspiration, that's really my main thing. I'm always love helping and championing people doing their best and doing what they love.
I love that. And I love that you reached out, because that's what we're about here. So there's definitely a mutual synergy there.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to me about how you grew up, because I'm curious. How did you grow up?
I grew up in Inglewood, California, South Central LA. It's one of those places where there's a lot of history to it, and you're not the first of your kind. So it is like big or small fish, big pond. You know, you have to find your way. And between playing sports growing up and wanting to do creative things like music, it was always like a balance and a back and forth to like, how do I shape my identity and also go along the path that I feel like is best for me. There's carved lanes in LA for sure where you can, go into the sports route and become a pro athlete or decide to, do something different and become like a gang member or live the street life or drug dealing. And as far as that conception is and the misconception about it is very, very easy to get into. And I grew up around people who were fortunate to not be involved in it, but also who fell victim to it. So I got to see both sides, and knowing that people around me wanted me to succeed, even though the environment didn't really, provide for that, helped me realize that I need to stick to something no matter what it is and just work my way one moment at a time, one thing at a time to living the life I wanted to live. And I'm just thankful that growing up, I had the ability to find things I like to do because I grew up around a lot of people who couldn't afford to do certain things, or also even if it was afforded to them, they were kind of just doing what they were told. So the expression I was able to get not only through music, but with deciding to just even venture off and like go different places on my own and become my own person, it was something that I'm really thankful for because a lot of people don't get. And I think LA in particular is a place I always have as home and always have as deep in my heart because I appreciate the culture I come from. But it's the one place I know I have to step out of if I really want to become who I am. I got to leave the nest. And that's really where I am in my phase of my life right now, is leaving the nest to see what else is out there for me and to see if like my wings can flap and I can actually be out here on my own.
So is this that moment for you? Like,
Yeah,
this is that time?
this is that. I feel like even in the project I'm currently releasing, Respect the Real, my brand, the volume 2 version of it, it's that elevation moment for me. It's the time where I'm finally deciding there's no more hard work or grind or 10,000 hours. Like, you've done that. Let the world see it. Go shine. Be the beacon. Be the person that shows other people they can put in this work and it actually pay off.
Right on.
Love that.
Yeah. So let me just ask you, how did you get on this tour? Like, how did that happen? You connected with Code online, or how did this happen? You a fan of his, or what's the story behind that?
It for sure is like a full circle fan moment for me.
Okay.
My girlfriend to tell you, and she, it's funny because I haven't gotten to tell Coda this yet, but I would bump him so much in college. She got tired of it. Like every day we're driving somewhere, like in the dorms, I'm constantly listening to him because he's so effortlessly like himself and like really inspirational and motivating in his lyrics that it was no way I wasn't gonna listen to it and kind of bump it 24/7. So now that I am on the tour with him and being able to get to that point where I'm ready to go on stage and be in front of those kind of crowds and with artists like that, it's just a full circle, beautiful moment for me. The opportunity came from connected with a company called Sean Healy Presents. They're like a promotion company that's been very popular in LA and a bunch of different cities. And them having artists like Coda the Friend and working with more independent artists on their tours allowed them to say, hey, we have an opportunity for someone else who we think would be really good for this. And once I got that call and I was really mapping out what would make sense for me, it was no way I wasn't going to go on tour. It was no way I wasn't going to be able to do this right now. It was just more, hey, if this is what you've been working on, now's the time to prove it. Now's the time to show the work for itself. And I'm just glad that it's with an artist I actually align with. The pay-to-play stuff he's been talking about and other things that go on in the industry would put you in a position where you're like Ari Lennox opening up for somebody who you don't necessarily align with musically, but it's all about the market. It's all about the money you're supposed to receive or the attention you need to get and like capitalize off of. But this is way more organic and way more aligned with what I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How was the experience been so far? Like, you got a highlight, something stands out?
My biggest highlight, and if y'all come to the show tonight, y'all will see there's this thing I do in one of my songs where I pretty much ask everybody to smile and I take a picture of them on stage because I want to see the genuine happiness in people's faces when they're here enjoying music that they love, but also getting to experience somebody new like me and showing them that I'm just here to have a good time. Like every city I go to, I plan on capturing these faces and just remembering this for myself, but also remembering like I did make somebody feel good. Like I can pat myself on the back for knowing that I connected with people and they got a good time with me.
That's what's up. What suggestions you got for artists like UraelB that are starting to go on tour, marketing, things of that nature? What What can you share with us about that?
Yeah, I think just what you said, man, just about branching out. I think it's so important because the world is so digital, and a lot of the times we're not touching people. And I think that is the biggest thing. We always talk about building like locally. Like, so the fact that there's three things that like artists have to be able to do. You got to have good music. You also have to be able to build community, and you also have to be able to market yourself. And you're doing all those things. And I think just by going on tour, that's the best way to like connect and actually resonate with people outside of like who you're touching. Because for one thing, once you're on social media, you just being in Austin, your algorithm is going to start feeding people differently because of your location. They have that technology. So Instagram, TikTok, they have the ability to push content. So you're going to be appearing in people's feeds that normally you aren't able to. So that's one major thing. The other thing is just like story. You have a great story. Just hearing your story, like I didn't know the detail and the depth of the story that you have. And like you do a very good job of presenting that, and that's what people resonate with. Just like Coda, you were listening to him. Like some of my favorite artists, coming up when I was in college, I was listening to Childish Gambino, and me and him resonated because he was like, I'm talking about the same TV shows I watched and talking about the same kind of food that I liked. And he was also a foster kid. He was a foster family, and like his whole family took care of kids through foster care. So that type of stuff resonated with me. And you were very good about, building a brand around who you are, and like it shines through the music and how you represent yourself there. The other thing is just really like experimenting. Like there's no rules now in music. So what we always tell people is try different things, experiment on social media, experiment with different forms of content. A lot of artists think because they're posting all the time that it's linear, and people are like, oh, I'm tired of seeing this post that you have. But it's all about, it's not linear. It's you getting fed stuff through the algorithm. So we just say, try things out. Try different like types of content, wear different clothes, different expressions, because it's all about experimentation right now. Throw some money in things that are working well. If you see a post is doing very well, throw $50 into it. If it's hitting more majority of your followers, and that works, and you start to see traction, keep pushing there. And the other thing is just like really being able to build a plan that you can execute that is based off of who you have on your team. So if you have a release coming out, who are the people that you need involved from a marketing perspective, from a content creation perspective, break things down, build a calendar. We always say like there is kind of like I'm sure you've heard this, where it's like 8-week process, 2 weeks of creating content, 3 weeks of pre-promotion, 3 weeks of post-promotion. Try that experiment and kind of build from there. But those are like some of the foundational things I think that are very important on top of like just what you did, man. You like reached out to Chaka and was like, yo, I'm coming to Austin. I want to build. And like finding those like key, like, people in major cities that are actually doing things and like supporting artists. And like for you to just be like, yeah, I'm welcoming you and open up that space. It's like there's so many bridges and connections that you make from that. And I think a lot of artists, they don't put the time in to like build relationships on that front. They just get locked into the creativity, but there's so much that goes into that.
I'm gonna say this, man. You reach out to me more than a lot of these local artists out here. Y'all need to reach out. Well, artists in here that just got here. We've been here 2 years. Like, this is a resource. People coming from LA know this is a resource. So, props to you for like just seeing it. And like you here, you doing something, you building it. So big props to you. Y'all both very highly intelligent, right? I can tell that just how you tell your story and how you talk about what you're doing. So that's clear. Like you have to be a thinker, right? You can't just have the talent unless you have a team, right? But if you're an independent artist, all those things you just said, that might feel a little intimidating, right? If you're maybe not as evolved as where you're at right now, like what is a good first step if someone's thinking about, I want to tour? Should they just first start thinking about their social media, or what? Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So from what I believe is like the best way, especially if you're not in a major city like LA, just start to like do shows, open mics, go to different places, do open mics. UraelB came out here in Austin and did an open mic, and that opened doors for him. My wife, we came out, did an open mic at Mozart's, and then, we invited friends that knew her, players that she wanted to play with, and it's an opportunity for people to see you at that level. So that's the first step, is just getting your chops up, because a lot of people, when you get in front of someone and you're performing, it's a whole different ball game than when you're in the room and looking at the mirror, like singing your song, It's a lot that goes into it. What is your facial expressions like? How is your inflection? Do you need vocal training? So I think just starting small and like playing in front of smaller groups of people, finding like, local shows like where there's like maybe, a bill of a few artists, and like even creating your own show, and finding a venue to perform at. But I just think just getting that practice in, and eventually, trying to get a bigger like show, whether it's, in LA, people do Monday, or, different things like that, out here, you can go to all the different open mics. So that's kind of a good start. And I'm curious like your thoughts too.
Yeah, even before you even start performing, I would say it does start with the I guess your motivation. And I use this as an example because I feel like he's a great artist and talented, but this isn't really his motivation. But like Bryson Tiller, for example, has been somebody who literally says, I don't really want to perform or tour. Like I appreciate what I do and I want to make music, but I don't like being in front of crowds. And knowing that and kind of understanding who you are as a person and identifying that first would then give you the right lane to go into, because it kind of all looks the same on the internet. I did these open mics, I did these shows, I'm opening for this artist, now I'm on tour, I'm doing my own tour, and it all looks like the exact same path. But sometimes it's not really about what it looks like, it's about how it feels for you. And if you're going to perform at a show, yes, make sure you're preparing, you're training, and you're doing what you do to get ready to perform in front of people, because as intimate as your music is and as close and personal as it is to you, once you perform it or even put it on a DSP, it's now for the world. So you have to kind of detach a bit and create a safe version for you to go out into the world with. But you also have to remember that that person's path isn't yours, because you might be on a lineup with certain people and their stage presence is different from yours, or the other artists on the lineup don't quite fit with you. So you just have to be comfortable in what you provide artistically and consistently do that in front of people so that people get familiar with you. And those who come to you and like you for what you are, they'll start building that audience for you. You don't really have to always go to places where it's a bunch of people, because they might be standing there and they're not just interested in you. So you have to find those people that are interested in you. But remember, it starts with you and your motivation to begin with. Like if you're going to perform for people or want to get on the road and perform, it has to come from a dedication to give people a show, an experience, or to connect with them. Not Bryson Tiller, but I hear a lot of people say that what's his name?
Russell or something like that.
Russell is a good example too, but I was gonna say like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran is a person
Okay.
that people love watching perform. It's just him and his guitar on stage. There's nothing more to it, but he's being himself. So he knows who he is and he knows what he wants to bring and provide to people. So that's where I would start.
I think that's a huge key.
Mhm.
Regardless of what they may think, I think a lot of artists really don't know
Yeah.
who they are,
Yeah.
and that's a big stumbling block. I think until you really do, unless some people are just good actors. They're good at putting on an
Yeah.
image and a
Yeah.
face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you have to be aware that you're doing that.
Yeah.
I think those that are really good at doing that are aware.
Mhm.
It's like a Marilyn Manson or something like it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm good at putting on this thing because people
character.
want to feel this, and I'm going to give them that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you have to know that as an artist. And if that's not what you're doing, then you have to know who you are and be that character for people or whatever. But I think a lot of artists, for better or worse, they really don't know. They just don't have that yet.
Yeah, they don't.
So that's an important thing to say and to acknowledge. What other challenges do you think artists are having right now in terms of things they need to, develop and work on? Because we were just talking before, there's not a lot of development going on.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of game. You guys are excellent at that. First, let me give you props, because I feel like, we were talking about the blueprint before the conversation. I feel like y'all were really the first people to kind of like break down the
Yes.
blueprint, and now we're seeing that. I think the Clips, the Clips album release, like people are really breaking down and studying
Yep.
releases
Yes.
and how people are doing that. But I got to give y'all props, because I really feel like y'all are one of the first to really put that out there.
Yeah.
So, going back to where I started, like, what
Mm-hmm.
do you think are some of the challenges that artists may not be really aware of or cognizant of?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and one of the main things that I see right now that's happening is a lot of artists they think that just putting the music out, like putting it out there, is going to be everything, and they don't understand that there's a lot of other steps that go into that, with like building a plan, and sometimes artists aren't able to execute what is in front of them when they're releasing music. Another thing that I think is really just a struggle is just attention. Like attention is very difficult to gather right now as an artist. There's so much stuff happening in the world, and a lot of artists aren't able to cut through. And you have to. The social media platforms are all about attention and bringing people in, and they're not really about serving up art in the way that that we were once when everything was kind of more linear in your algorithm. So, you're fighting against the politics and different things happening in the world. Even the biggest artists right now are really struggling to cut through. And what I think people have to shift to is really looking at niching down and finding the audience. And you mentioned that very well, where you were talking about who are you and what type of experience are you trying to craft. It's also who's your target demographic. And LaRussell actually said this, which really hit me a few years ago. I interviewed him and he was just like, I just focus on people who really want to be served what I'm offering them. He's like, I'm not trying to cast this massive net. I'm trying to find out who are the people that resonate with my sound, they resonate with my ethos, where I've come from. And I think that's how people have to build, is like the 1,000 true fans. That's what things are moving towards. It's
But how do they do that? Like, what if you're just doing it, you're starting to make your songs or whatever, like, how do you find those people?
Start with your family and your friends, sending them. You have to make sure the people around you like what you're doing, So being able to hey, my friends, do you like this song? And then those people start sharing your stuff, like, oh, yo, I heard UraelB, I heard his music. Have you heard this artist? That's how I used to find music. Social media is very passive. Streaming is very passive.
Yeah.
So you have to really touch people outside of the digital world.
So summarize, you're saying give feedback.
Yes.
I think that's a thing that people skip.
Yeah.
Like, they're putting music out, they're not even sharing it with their friends.
Yep.
They're not even asking their friends, like, yo, what do you think? Because maybe that would have kept you from putting that song out. Like, man, you need to mix that a little bit better. Or, that you a little pitchy on that. You should have put some auto-tune or whatever. They're just kind of skipping that immediate feedback. And that's so important. But I think, just in general, it's an ego thing. They're afraid of getting maybe criticism. But it's important to get that feedback from your immediate community, people that actually know you and might give you some honesty.
Yep.
And that's why I would more suggest getting feedback from people who don't know you, like they don't know you from a can of paint. If you did have to go in public and play somebody your music as if they were listening to it in Starbucks, would they get up and walk out, or would they stick around and be like, oh, what is this? That kind of reaction is something that helps me gather information about what am I creating, and is this just for me, or can this be for other people? So that challenge of getting out of your own way and removing your ego a bit so it can be for the world, like I was saying, is something that a lot of artists, and no matter how big they are, they still need to work on. There's just a lot of artists, big and small, that know they're good at what they do, but sometimes they don't deliver it in the best way, or they skip that vetting process of, all right, do people actually like this? I like this, but once this becomes a product, how do I and can I actually put this out to people for them to enjoy? So in terms of the challenges, I would say people not having a team is also a challenge. I know on the independent artist level, it seems as if to get where everyone else is going, you got to have the same amount of people around you as they do, because most people have major labels working for them, or agencies working for them. And a lot of the work is taken out of their hands. So if you're independent, you're most likely doing all of that yourself. And it either gets overwhelming or you're just not good at that other stuff. So you got to find other people to do it with. And if you're not good at it, it's okay to have people who are better than you at other things around you. Yeah. That is honestly the best thing to have. If you're the smartest person in the room, you might want to leave the room. And I think people don't really pay attention to that. They know that they need work and they know that they need help, but either they're too afraid to ask for help, or they think, nah, I can do it all by myself. And then that's the part that really gets in the way, and that's the biggest challenge.
I guess what I'm asking is if you can pinpoint it, how does someone recognize that they need help? You know what I mean? Because I think some people would think they're doing it, and they, you know what I mean? If they're not getting the feedback, what would be something that was like, hey, look at that, you might need some help. How can they figure it out? Because they might be just not knowing that they need help.
It definitely does start with, like I said, knowing your motivation. If your goal is to be an artist that goes and does arena tours and is, winning awards and getting all the accolades, you have to say, all right, who's my favorite artist that is accomplishing this? Let me look at what they have going on, what their team is like, or what moving pieces they have to help them do what they're doing. And a lot of those artists, especially since music is changing as a business, had a label to do it for them. Now that the independent world and music has opened up and it's like this free-for-all, a lot of people are running into issues where they don't know how to do what they're doing, but they're trying to still achieve that old form of success, or those past ways we used to, measure success. And recognizing if that's for you or not is the best start. But if it is for you, you have to say, well, am I willing to be patient and get there? Or do I want it tomorrow? And am I going to cut the corners and hire all these people to help me get there? Because if you have the money to do it, do it. But as an independent artist, we most likely don't. Right. And you're going to have to work with other people or connect. and get people who just want to help you because they're also passionate too.
Yeah.
And I think the recognition comes from knowing what your music and artistry is and figuring out if that's something that you really want to do for a long period of time. Unfortunately, we talked about it off camera where we seen so many artists go through development before we even knew they were famous or knew who they was.
Right.
Michael Jackson was in the Jackson 5. Most people know him from Thriller. And he was 8 years old, literally training and being as, great as he was in front of us. But it didn't happen right away when it came to Thriller. He worked all the way up until that point. And we're just...
He had some duds.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, people only remember the good things. We don't...
He had some bombs.
We don't want to focus on the slips and falls along the way because that's not what social media and the internet is grooming us to think about. We get to see the highlights all the time. We get to see the best moments. But if you know you're going through training and you're working hard, show people that. It might give them a open door to say, hey, I like what you're doing. And I resonate with the feeling behind it now because I've slipped and fell before. So if you have to get people on board to help you, make sure they see all of it and they see it for what it is and not just the... Because I think this happens to me sometimes. People think I'm doing so well that I don't need help.
Right.
And that is not the case.
No,
I'm like, that is far from the case, but I know I still have to give my all to people and show them as much as I am accomplishing things, there are still things I'm trying to figure out and I do need help with. And that's where companies like Venice come into play and other people on my team that help me come into play because they know this isn't going to just be a solo thing. Like all of these people are successful because they have help,
Yeah, and that's another point too. Like as you were saying that about Venice is a lot of the times when I'm talking to artists, I've talked to thousands of artists on calls directly, and they're like telling me what their story is and their journey, and a lot of them don't see the results they want. And usually that's that's a signal where it's like, okay, let's break down what you're doing and like what is not working well for you. And with that, once I kind of get a picture of like, hey, okay, you're having an issue with marketing like your music on social media and you need to learn things. I'm like, here are people in my network that I can introduce you to that may be able to go and do a deeper dive with you on this if you're willing to like, if you have the ability to connect with them, maybe they can do it on like some type of like consulting fee or it's just on a connection. Hey, I'm going to introduce you with somebody even on the Venice team. And I think that's another thing is like a lot of artists when they're stuck and they don't see the results that they want, they don't know how to ask for help. And I tell people all the time, use me as a resource. Like you have me. So like as soon as you have something you need help with, don't just wait and like be like, oh, it's not working out for me. Come to me and tell me because I usually know people that can help, solve those issues. And, that's something that Troy also does. When you're talking on calls with Troy, he's talking to artists and hearing what their struggles are. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, like go talk to this person. Like here's a person I can introduce you to. And I think as artists like learn to lean in and leverage the relationships they have around them, that's how you kind of move without having a team, until you do get a team. And a lot of the times we host events and different things. We bring the music industry and then we also bring artists that are independent, developing, or even label artists. And that's where people meet, oh, I met my producer there, or I met my manager there, and that's something that we prided ourselves on. I've seen a lot of artists come to like our events and then like a couple of months later, they're like, I'm actually like working with this guy now that you introduced me to at this event. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I didn't think that would have that kind of impact where you would meet and make a connection like that. So I think that's another thing is just knowing like if you're not seeing the results you want, there may be a lot of stuff to unpack, but like asking for help. And that's like something I think we do very well at Venice is helping artists identify what they can be doing better and then point them in the right direction of like how they can like improve.
Yeah, I mean, to summarize some of that, I think basically be a student.
Yeah.
You got to study, so coming from a lot of things that you're saying, look at the artists that you like, look at, study, look at what's happening, how did they do that? I think if anybody takes anything away from this, like, you have to have a mindset. You have to have a strategy if you want the success that is, is that high level success. Now, we live in a time where anyone can make music, right? You can get a beat off, you download a beat off of YouTube, whatever.
AI.
You can record it on your phone. You got AI. So all these things require you to be even smarter.
Yeah.
And to like think even deeper about who you are and what you're doing. And so like I thank y'all for sharing this because this is like important. I think a lot of folks that kind of want to skip that step and just but that's not how it works. No, that's not how it works for anybody. There's a lot of strategy either as an individual, as an independent artist, or with a team. Yeah. I don't know where you're going into these things. I want to ask you about a specific artist that you've seen kind of starting at Venice that has, kind of roles that we may be familiar with. And you can talk about their journey just a little bit.
Yeah, so let me think about that. There's a few that come to mind. There is one. Well, Coda the Friend, funny enough, was an artist that we worked with at Venice early on.
Okay.
And I got to meet him early in my career, like when I was working at Venice. So that was really cool to be able to experience that. When I was working at Venice originally, I was doing a lot of stuff in Web3. So we were helping Coda with his Web3 strategy and like trying to figure out where things align there. And we did some stuff, but nothing really
For
took
those
off
that
there.
don't know, what's Web3?
Web3. So Web3 is like the new iteration of like the internet where, Web 1 was like, just dial up, like go read only. The Web 2 was social media, being able to like actually create your own content, YouTube, Instagram, those type of platforms. Web 3 is the kind of the next phase where you actually have ownership, and like the ownership comes from like you're able to put your music out and actually have ownership of like what you put out, and also being able to like monetize that. And it's all really built on like the crypto and like the blockchain. So there's all these different things from NFTs to, even streaming in a sense is kind of a form of that. It's a mix of Web 2, Web 3 now as crypto is kind of building streaming on ramps. But really it's all about, having like digital goods that are, built on the blockchain, and you're able to like share your art and creativity through that. So we were really originally at Venice, our membership was a NFT that we built, and it was all these different values that was attached to that, different tools. We even had like a gear share where you could like rent drones and gear from like Venice, and like you could like come do that. It was like all these things we built into it to try to figure out, is this a pathway? It's like Soho House. It was like Soho House for members, and we were even building a house called the Venice House that had like 3 studios, an outdoor venue, and all those different type of
That's
things.
a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
you think you was trying to do too much at once?
I mean,
That sounds
yeah,
like-
we
that
ended up
sounds
having to put a
crazy.
pause on
Yeah,
it. Yeah, we
wow.
put a pause on it and really started
Jeez.
focusing on the membership.
For
And
real.
that's what it is. That's how Troy is. He's very entrepreneurial,
Okay.
like very like big picture. Like, how do we like revolutionize music? And now
Okay.
we're kind of really kind of shifting that. But that's like at a high level what Web3 was. So Coda was someone in that capacity. Another one artist that we worked with early on was Twee. She was, doing decently well. Vietnamese artist that was based in the Bay Area and then ended up moving to LA. She worked with us early on. She ended up having a song called Girls Like Me Don't Cry that went viral in 2023. And it was like the song of the summer. It was in the top 10 songs. And that was another one. She ended up performing at Coachella in 2024 because of that. So she's some artist. But there's also some just really cool artists like on the membership side that are doing really cool things. One of my friends that is also an artist, his name's DNA Picasso. He's, I'm sure you're familiar with DNA. Yeah, so DNA is like doing great things in Denver. He's like a community organizer, very similar to you, where he's building community, but also like an artist and like really helping people put on. He does a lot of big shows in Denver where he does R&B Jams Fest that I've been to, and it's like 100, 200 people selling it out, but he's also doing like talent buying and buying, like getting artists on like big music festivals, and he's performing at festivals, and he's building this community of artists and also fans because he's helping support artists. They're bringing out their fans to events, and then they're like, who hosted this? Oh, it's this guy DNA. But he's just like he's connecting me with platforms. He just connected me with Deezer. Like there's a guy that's represented in Deezer, he's connecting me. And I think that's like what I'm seeing is kind of the future of artistry, is like this hybrid of entrepreneurial but also creative, and that's like the artists that I see that are really cutting through, and you're one of them, so that's someone that I would say is like still, growing his career, but also someone that works very closely with the Venice team.
I want to touch back with you, Urael, about you don't have money. You want people to join your team. What techniques did you use to kind of bring people in? 'Cause, you really don't want people to work for free, but you kind of got to get them to do a little bit of work for free. How did you manage that? In the beginning stages.
I think even in the past couple of years, most of my pitch to people has been, hey, here's what I do. I'll perform, or I'll show them my business plans, or I'll literally do something for them and show what I can bring of value. And I make it a barter system in a way that's like, I'm not just gonna ask you to do for me and not be able to do for you. So most of the time it's been, I can provide something, even if it's not the same or the exact amount of value. I just want to be able to provide for other people. And I've helped people with like publishing stuff and like uploading their things and registering to, different publishing sites and performance rights organizations. I make split sheets for artists, and I send out documents and contracts and templates for stuff, because I know this is a part of the industry that I've been able to facilitate and like figure out. Other artists might not. And if you play guitar really good, but you also want to be an artist and you might not understand the administration side, let's link. Like, you can play guitar for me, I can do this for you, or we can work on something because there's something we each need from each other. And it's really been a bartering thing for me. Like even with my manager that I currently have in 2021, she was more in the event space and like throwing events kind of side of things and like booking for shows. And she was booking rappers to do shows with her in this community we were in. And unfortunately, at the time, we of course didn't have the money to do a lot, but I just wanted an opportunity, and she needed rappers to do something. So we were always bartering back and forth for a couple years until one day I realized, well, she's doing exactly what I need help with, like booking people for shows. So let me figure out how I can pitch that to her. And honestly, that was the only thing I wanted her to do, was to help me get bookings. But after working together for 2 years and not really like having anything formal, she was like, I'm gonna just be a manager. Like we could be on board with all of it. So she knew how hard I worked, and I showed how hard I worked, so that it wasn't a no-brainer if at some point it would be worth it. It always is an investment when you're trying to, reach out to people and get assistance from them, or you're giving yourself, time and energy to work with other people. You just have to be willing to wait it out or work for that investment and make sure it pays off for you.
Yeah, that's great.
You got something to add to that?
Yeah, I would say, like, for me, being a manager, like, and helping artists, I love what you said about like the mutual exchange, the value, because they're like nowadays, like it's a lot harder for a manager to make their return
Yeah.
in a, with even within 5 years, because it's just a lot harder to make money in music. So I think by you offering value and services to a manager, things that you can help connect the dots with, that is very valuable. And like that would incentivize someone. But I think another thing is that I kind of have seen work is just finding people who love your music and like who love you, and like they're just like, I like what you're doing and I want to help you in any kind of way. And they might not even be somebody that has real music management experience. And a lot of the times it starts with like family, your cousin, your brother, your girlfriend or something. It's like they just believe in what you're doing and they're able to like offer that service as a manager. For me, like how I got into management is I would just like find artists that I really liked, and I would reach out and I would date them for like six months. I'd be like, let's just like date. Let me see how I can help you. Let me use my connections to like try to open some doors for you. And I would just date people like and then after 6 months, I was like, this is actually working out well. Let's like continue to build together. And that was ultimately, how I would like build relationships with artists. But I wouldn't just go straight into it like, hey, let's get a contract and different things, because I have to know that you have the hustle, because a lot of the times, if I'm working harder than the artist, then it's not going to work out. And that happens a lot. But I always would find artists that had something special that I really resonated with, and we would just work together, and it ended up working out well for the most part. Obviously there's some learning experiences, and I've definitely gotten burned pretty heavily, but at the end of the day, it was all to get me to like where I am now, and being able to help, But now how I operate at Venice is like, I feel like I'm kind of a manager in a sense for the community, like you're like a broad stroke manager, and people are always like, yo, can you manage me? And I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth like to like pour in like that, but I can help you if you need a connection or you need a relationship, or if there's someone that you need me to introduce you to, I got you. And that's really how I kind of approach it now. But I love what you said about
Isn't that where Troy is now? He's more consulting.
Yeah.
He's not really managing anybody anymore. And that's funny that you're in that space too, and just working with the community like that. Like I can't help you directly, but I know where I can point you in the direction of,
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Is it? I mean, I think probably just growth, but it's a lot of work managing the artists. That pretty much, it's like, like I can kind of give you some tips, but like, finding the artist that you really want to get in that marriage with or that relationship with, it's not an easy thing.
It's not, because a lot of the times it's like, I mean, the artists that I've managed, I'm like the babysitter, like I'm like their dad. And I manage a lot of men, like, men that, maybe didn't have a father in their life, but I just saw they were like so talented and so creative. And I was like, yo, wake up, let's go to the studio. Like, go send this email out, and you're like, a lot of it is that. And I don't have the bandwidth to do that anymore. So I like to come in at a higher level to be able to kind of dish like different things that add a lot more value in that capacity. But very true.
Yeah. How do you have any vision for what you're gonna do in Austin? I gotta say, like, artists, we should really grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of not only your experience, but that you care.
Yeah.
I can feel that's coming off of you. So like, a lot of the music industry, not that way, right?
No.
You know what I mean? So like, just we're thankful, we're grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you're looking to do in the coming 6 to 12 months in Austin? just you have any vision that you're working on here specifically, or not? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think for me, and thank you for that, and same to you. Like, I'm very grateful that we got to connect, and like because I didn't know, like, I'm learning the environment. So I've been here for about 6 months now, and I've been just really trying to understand where the need for help is, and I've always been a person that like wants to be of service to humanity. So no matter where you are, who you are, I look at myself as like a person that just wants to serve people and help, make the world a better place. So for me, I think what I feel like from what I've seen in Austin, a lot of artists here aren't really familiar with like actually putting their music out like with the plan. So really trying to like find ways to educate artists and like tap into communities where I can talk about, the things that we're doing at Venice and how artists can utilize that for their like, strategy. Because I feel a lot of artists here are very much like they want to perform and like they're doing the live gig scene, but then the marketing and the music and the social media side is like non-existent.
Right.
You need both, and I want to be able to, come in as a thought leader in that space, and also having the connection to Troy and the broader industry and being able to bring those resources in as kind of like, I got my footprint here. This is my home base now. And I have a massive network that is always looking how they can go to different cities. And I don't feel like there's a big presence here. So a big goal for me is like, doing something for South by Southwest and bringing out, different partners that have already expressed interest in like wanting to do something around then with Venice. And just being able to do that and just continue making like, deep connections with artists and also patching in and building with communities that already exist here like DAWA, so that's really like kind of a goal for me right now. And also to help my wife, with her career out here and being able to, get her music career moving out here. She has a beautiful voice and, really touches people when she performs. So just really figuring out how to make those connections, in that space. So yeah, that's my goal for the next few months.
I mean, that's exciting. I think this is very exciting for me. Just in general, seeing the gaps that exist. It's really powerful. It's a powerful moment, and I definitely thank y'all both for first you for taking the initiative and reaching out, and then connecting our community with someone like yourself. Your brain is crazy. How you deal with this guy? It's crazy. Your brain is nuts, bro. Like you on some other stuff, man. Like just like wow. So like we are excited.
Yeah, same.
To have
man.
a mind like you, but the heart too. That's the combination that we don't get that often.
Yep.
So I'm just really grateful. I said it many times, but thanks for making this happen, Urael, and many blessings to you moving forward. I know this is just the beginning. We know you can come back perform here. We're gonna do many more things together. So like just thank you.
Yeah, man. Keep doing your thing, bro. You definitely stand out. Like seriously, like when I hear your music, I'm like, you got the thing, man. Keep pushing. The music is there, and it's not. I hear a lot of music.
I bet you do.
And you always like even like supervisors and people that come in, they're like, this is good. Like DJ Head loved your music, So it's like keep pushing, bro.
For sure, man. I'm just thankful that people who actually care about music connect with my music. I don't want to be the lost in the shuffle artist. I'm trying to stand out. So the fact that you see that, man, that's great. That's really assuring. Thank you.
What's up? Anything you want to leave people with, or we can definitely open up for some questions.
Yeah,
but like any last things that you want to share?
Before we get to the questions, I do want to share that anybody out there who's working on something they're passionate about and something that they truly want to put their all into, and is a bit afraid to put it into the world, just remember you were put into the world before anybody was ready to have you, or before anybody might have thought like I can take care of someone else. And that's part of the process. Like being uncertain and having that fear of the unknown is a part of it. I'm literally going through it as I'm talking to you. I have no clue how you're going to receive this, but I know we're all here for a reason. And there's a great thing to do when you create and it comes from your heart. And I think the world needs it. And I think you know that, but I want you to be sure about that. And remember, it's all right. Even if nobody hears it, you put it into the world and you meant to do good. So that's what's most important. So I thank everybody for doing that. I thank y'all for being the facilitators and helping people do that, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was
what you want to leave with?
I mean, that was great, but for me, for me, it's just I just think like now more than ever, like humanity, we have to like align with each other and like get beyond our differences and understand that we are all in this together and creatives, you know, whatever you do, just be a good person, be a good human to people, because you never know what people are going through, and just walk through life with an open heart and like be open to experiencing different things and taking risks and taking chances. Because I like slept on couches and like slept on the floor, and like when I moved to LA and was living out of my car for a while, but I always had faith, and I always used to hear this voice in the back of my head that was like, you don't know how good things can get, don't give up. And that was God speaking to me, you know. And I think we're in a crazy time in the world right now. The music industry is going through a whole reshuffling, and all the systems are collapsing. But while we're going through this, like, we have to, like, you know, stand beside each other and not fight one another, because like we're more stronger together, unified, than we are, you know, divided. So that's really the piece that I want to leave.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think we got a couple questions out there. If anybody wants, you can just ask them out. Like, you can just,
Yeah,
you,
you can
how do
read
you want to
it
do? You want to pass?
for sure.
Okay.
He said it's yeah.
Hey.
Ask me, what did you say?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Angela asks, what's next for you music-wise that you're excited about? I'm super excited about my current project, Respect the Real Volume 2. It's my Inception album, meaning I'm telling my story. I'm giving people who I am as a person, and then you'll hear where I come from artistically from that story. So I'm really thankful that I've been at the stage in my life where I could look back on my upbringing and my childhood and not have like a bitter lens about a lot of things. I'm healing through this album and reflecting on the things I grew up doing, so that I can put the message into the music, share it with the world, and maybe 20 years from now, someone else feels like, wow, this album touched me. I want to be able to tell my story or make sure I pass a good message along too. So this particular project is special to me because I have so much to offer. And before I give myself to the world, I have to give to myself. I had to walk through this album in my past and live out the life that I really didn't remember until I started thinking about it again. So musically, I could say, you know what? I'm comfortable. Like, I told my story and I'm going to continue telling it, but I don't have to hide anything from the world. I don't have to pretend to be something just to succeed. This is going to be who I am, and everybody will be able to hear it from the moment it's out, and from the moment people listen to it, they'll start to get to know me. And as I continue on my journey, they'll just learn me even more. So this project is real special to me. Other than that, music-wise, I'm really excited to get back into like the sync licensing world and music. That's one of the reasons I joined Venice. One of my mentors in that space, he invited me to join. And I heard y'all were doing panels and workshops with different sync representatives and doing feedback. So that particular avenue for me musically was like, I can make money just putting out music, and it really is only for TV and film. It was such an amazing thing to learn that I'm excited now that I'm done with my album to start crafting more music for that and get back into that world where I know I'm catering to a particular industry, and it can, you know, return the favor. I'm putting in a lot of labor. So one of those songs land, I'll be good for a year. You know, that's the goal. But yeah, my current project and like the sync licensing world, that's what I'm excited for musically.
Well, just know we working on some stuff in the sync space as we speak.
Hey,
So,
hey,
it's coming, man. It's coming. We had a good call yesterday.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Let me ask you this, man. Just hearing you speak, I just feel like there's some type of spiritual foundation to your life. Was it something you found on your own, or was there a specific mentor in that realm?
No mentors per se, but growing up, I always felt called to, I guess, a spiritual divination in me that made me realize that I have so much to offer, but physically speaking, there's a limitation to it, like my environment or the things I feel like I have to do to succeed or, you know, go through life. They're kind of misaligned with how I feel spiritually. But when I got to college, I started opening myself up to more things. I grew up Christian in like Baptist churches growing up, but I also realized that the life I learned to love like spiritually was all like from a service-based standpoint. It was like obey, obey, obey. This isn't really pouring back into me. So my spiritual awakening came back when I learned like I started to need to treat myself better. And when I first got with my partner in college and understanding our dynamic at the time, I honestly, she was a mirror for me, that made me realize like I am not pouring into myself. I'm like doing so much, and it's under the idea of like I'm being good to other people. As long as other people think I'm a good person, that's what matters. But
The surface.
I was depleting. Yeah,
Mhm.
the surface was the only thing I cared about. I was depleting what was deep within me. So learning about different like comedic sciences and like spiritual practices like yoga and stuff that I've been doing more recently has helped me reinforce like the simplicity of life. Like life can be very simple as long as we use the foundational tools we have, like breathing, moving our body, and then reading and using our minds. Like a lot of that is stuff we neglect. And honestly, I don't, subscribe to any particular religion or spiritual belief, but I do subscribe to you have all the tools you need to live life and live it to the fullest. There's nothing external you need to go get. So
There you go.
Man, I
There
love
you
that.
go.
That's spot
There you
on,
go.
bro.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay. We cooking in here. Man.
Cooking
up in here.
That's so true,
I can go there. I can go
Listen,
there.
man. Okay, all right. We got another question out there.
Yeah, I was saying, that's what something I was like, you still gonna ask me, what I meant, something. No, I was just gonna ask, so you talk a lot about, like the spiritual side of it, or like you're trying to, like, you're just like authentic, right? How do you connect that or bridge the gap between that, like, this is who I am, this is my music, this is what I'm doing, and what Chaka said about getting feedback. We talked about like getting some feedback from people as well. How do you deal with that? It's just like
So let me repeat it just so people couldn't hear you. So you're saying, how do you deal with getting feedback and still like just staying focused on like what you want to do? Basically, like you have a vision, and then someone provides some feedback that may seem like it's shifting what you want to do. Like, how do you kind of navigate that?
yeah, I'm
Is
talking
that what you're
about
saying?
song specifically. Like I'm writing this song. So like I want to put my heart into this song.
Yeah.
And it was like this is who I am, right? But then also like getting feedback. It's something like how do you do that?
Okay, so some like you're saying, so you have this idea for a song that's specifically coming from you, and then somehow you get some feedback that might be challenging you to shift it. Is that what you're saying, or
Yes,
that's
something specifically about like the way you talked about the album, for example.
Yeah. No, I get what you're asking. I think it's been a long journey, especially like from the very moment I started even wanting to write music or do music, learning how to balance both of those worlds of this is for me, but this is also for other people. And what I've learned recently is being able to have the music that you want and you want to be potent for yourself, or that you want to have such substance that it'll be hard to be commercial or digestible in that way, so that you can balance out the stuff you are making for other people. And it's not that you have to be two different people, but I do think it's like if you walked outside naked, nobody else wants to see that, right? And you might be comfortable with who you are, but the moment you start seeing eyes look at you weird, you're gonna be like, wait, maybe there is something wrong with what I'm doing. Let me go back to the drawing board. Like, I guess I'm gonna put on this shirt or this clothes, and you're gonna feel so uncomfortable. You're gonna feel so uncomfortable that you're gonna start remembering, oh, once I step out into the world, even if it's a song, once this is out into the world, other people have to accept this. So if you're not willing to be that kind of person who's just, I'm gonna leave it all out there on the table, I don't care what other people thinks, then you have to start getting feedback that's, respectable. Some people will literally just decide to talk bad about you because they want to, but having people who can give genuine criticism and feedback will be a best practice, because you have people who care for you that are telling you what they think. It's not that they think it's bad or they want you to do what they want. They just know you care a lot, and if you were to do these things, then it would help you. So I think you're having to balance the need and desire to create for your own expression, but also create because the world needs to consume it. And once you find that balance, you'll be all right, not, feeling so bad about only creating for yourself, or like, oh, I don't make for myself anymore, I only make for other people. So it's something you'll deal with, honestly, the entire time you're making music. It'll be hard to not deal with that, because we're all trying to make money. You're like, make it a business, and business isn't kind to us personally. It's a business for a reason. Like, you still have to create from the heart, but detach once it becomes, a product for other people. Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
That include people on your team.
Yeah, and so the weirdest thing is, like, I actually find it easier to play music for strangers who don't know me, because I care less about their opinion.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, oh, I know you don't know me, so if you were to say something that might be offensive, it's like, well, you don't know me, I can't take it to heart. But the people who are closest to me, it's like, oh, here I go. Let me get ready
That's
because I
trash,
know
bro. That's trash.
And even if it is that bad, it's like, oh, I know it's gonna hurt way more than a stranger telling me it's trash.
Right.
But I also know that they know where I'm coming from, so their feedback is the one that matters the most because they at least understand it a bit more than a random person who never heard me before. It's one of those things where, like they say, the people closest to you can hurt you the most,
yeah.
So I try not to like wear that on my sleeve when I am showing people music or even my team music. I want to make sure I'm comfortable enough to show them by the time I made it. If I didn't feel comfortable to show them the song, maybe I'm not done with the song yet. I'm not super confident in it, And I think that's the other reason. Like when I'm in the Venice music sessions, I'm like, I love these songs so much, nobody can tell me anything about them. I'm gonna take what they say because I feel like other people's opinions are important. But if this song is good or not, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yes.
I'm looking for actual, like, does this connect with you? So in those spaces, it's easier to give my music to people and let them feel how they want to about it.
I think all feedback is good feedback. Because there's someone out there that thinks Michael Jackson is trash right now. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
It doesn't matter. You know
That's
what I'm
their
saying?
opinion.
Like, it's
That's
like
their
I heard a
opinion.
dude. It was like, Beyonce is not even music. I'm just like, okay, it's just good to know that
each his own.
there's different opinions out there.
Yes.
Man, like they just not going you're not for everybody.
Yes.
But going back to a lot of things that you were saying is like you have to find who it is for.
Yeah.
And that all starts like with you. You know what I'm saying? I want to just I don't know if there are any other okay, Jen?
It's not really a question, but I did want to give you your flowers of how
Okay.
courageous you are
Okay.
with letting people see you try. I think a lot of the music industry right now, and in my opinion, as a music consumer, not a creator in the music space, that we are looking for relatability in artists. But I feel like we're looking for relatability in the wrong places of like, oh, their personal life and their drama isn't relatable to my personal life. I don't have to know that about an artist, me personally. But what is relatable is seeing people try. Everybody can like relate to trying and striving to get to, their destination or getting to the next level in their life. And I did see a video earlier about Victoria Monet, if you guys know who she is. She was opening up for Ariana Grande like years ago, and she just had a mic just herself with her choreography, and that made me realize a lot of people are scared to let others see them try. And you have been very fearless and courageous in that way. It doesn't matter like whether it's the open mics 2 years ago or now you're on tour opening for people who don't know you from a campaign. You're not scared for people to see you try, and that's I wanted to say about y'all.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So hey,
I love my life right there.
Yes. Yeah. It's
So off the mic, she says she's basically just giving flowers to Urael for just trying and showing his journey and trying and not being afraid to be just out there and putting himself out there. So she was just saying that he was courageous with that, and she was giving him flowers for that. So
That's important. Yes, building in public. That's a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to this about the feedback stuff because I think it's very important to me. So feedback, like when you show that product, your paper to your team. At what stage do you do it? Do you do it? Do you do it when this song is still or something? You go back into the studio and remake it, or like do you show them when it's already done?
Yeah,
And if it's done, then what do you do with your feedback?
So sometimes I think that
Hold
part.
on. So the question was like, when do you get the feedback? Are you giving them the feedback when you first got the voice memo on your phone, or like middle of the production, or at the end of the production, or somewhere in between? So he's just asking you like, at what point do you ask for feedback, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think both parts of that like fuel when I ask, because if I just want to show an idea to somebody and I need their opinion on the idea so I can rework it, I feel like it doesn't have to be done. And even with my team, if they know it's not done, they're not judging the quality of it. They're judging more of the substance and like, where do I see this being placed in the world, or who would this connect to? That part is where I show them the, finished or unfinished and early versions of the song. But if I want to make sure that there's a marketing strategy and a plan in place and I need to get it going, sooner rather than later, I usually have the song done. It's like what I want it to be. And I want to make sure now that I'm ready with the song and it's finished, I also have to start getting ready to put it out into the world. So that's the other part of the feedback stage that matters to me, is I need to be ready for it to be into the world. That's the only other reason I'm asking for feedback, or I need people close to me to hear it first, because those ears, like I said, they understand where I'm coming from, but they're also not me. So they're not gonna lie to me and tell me what I want to hear because they're hearing it from their perspective. So I need the feedback about marketing strategies for connecting with people with this song, or even just the way it makes them feel, so that I know, okay, this is a summer song, or oh, this is more introspective, let me put it out at this time. Once it's finished, I can like decide all that, once I get the song done. And my team is good at like telling me what they feel, how they feel, and not sugarcoating it, because they know that's the only way I'm going to succeed. They know that I can benefit the most if they tell me the truth, and I don't go into the world thinking one thing when really I could have been, doing something else. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
The last question I have for y'all is, well, it's not really a question. I just want you to give me a definition.
Okay.
All right. And just try to like give me the simplest one that you can.
Mm-hmm.
What is music?
The first word I thought of was love. Like, music is love. And
Yeah.
as simple as that gets, is like love feels good, or it's something you want and yearn for. And I think music is something that for the dawn of time, and no matter what happens after we're gone, it'll always be here. Like that love for like those vibrations and the feel good essence of it, it'll always be around. So I think music is love to me.
Yeah. For me, I feel like music is it's from source, it's from God, and it channels through all of us. Since I was a kid, I've always heard music in my head, and always had a deep like feeling that I felt when I was listening to music. And it's also a mirror, it's a mirror. Your experience, you're mirroring your experience for other people to like receive and be receptive to. So that's what it feels like for me. It's just from the divine, and it's channeled through us, and it's just we're just the vessels that express it. We all have different tones and frequencies that we emit, and it's going to resonate with the people it's meant to resonate with.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
What
y'all
about
so
you?
much.
What about you?
Well, thanks for asking me. It touches basically on a lot of things that y'all said, but to me, it's medicine.
Yeah.
It's healing. And we're gonna leave it on that. DAWA is medicine. For those of you that are not familiar, we want you to tap in. We're here in Austin, Texas. When you're in Austin, you're an artist, come through. We're here for the BIPOC community and culture of the world, but also we focus on Austin. We're providing direct support to not only artists, but social workers, teachers, healthcare providers here in the city to the tune of $425,000 over the last 6 years. It's gonna be over $500,000 before the end of this year. And we center music, we center art as the thing that brings us together and connects us all. So we want to connect with you. So make sure that you find us at DAWA Heals, DAWAHEALS on Instagram, DAWAHeals.org. And we'll continue this journey together with Venice, UraelB, and everybody else in the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure, man. It's an
Thank
honor.
you, brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Such a
For sure.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all too for being here.